If you've been struggling to lose body fat, you don't like how your body looks in the mirror, you don't feel confident in yourself, you don't like how you look in pictures, this is the only video you'll ever need. No fluff, just the exact steps you need to take if you want to get lean. 99% of coaches will never give you this information laid out like this for free. But in today's video, I'm going to be laying it out step by step so you have 100% clarity and you know how to get lean, lose fat and keep it off. 18 weeks ago, I was 92 kilos at my heaviest, and as of this morning, I'm 73 kilos, so I've lost 19 kilos. I've also helped dozens of guys lose anywhere from 10 to 20 plus kilos, not with shortcuts, just with a system that actually works. I just want to let you know, if you are an action taker and you want to cut to the chase and you want to jump on a free 30-minute strategy call with me, so I can help you lose 10 to 20 plus kilos, tap the top link in the description. On that call, we'll go through your main goals, the main struggles you're facing right now in achieving that goal, and I'll give you a roadmap on how you can achieve that goal. Now let's get into the guide. I would highly recommend you get a notepad out just so you can take as many notes as possible and not miss any of the steps. Step 1, set a clear goal. As guys, we need a goal to give us direction. The systems and strategies I'm going to give you in this video will only work if you have a goal to aim towards. I knew I wanted to get to 73 kilos within 4 months, and having that time constraint allowed me to push past those moments of complacency. It also allowed me to know how much weight I needed to lose per week to achieve my goal. So for me, it was around 1 kilo per week. And here's a clear framework you can use to set your goal. Look at this body fat percentage chart and give an honest assessment of where you're sitting at right now. And I would even add a couple percentages to this number because usually we're biased and we underestimate it. And now we're going to work out your lean body mass, so your weight without any of the fat. Times your weight by your estimated body fat percentage. So for me, I was 92 kilos. I estimated that I was around 28% body fat. So 92 times 0.28 equals 25.75 kilos. And that's roughly the amount of fat I was holding. And next we want to minus that number from your overall weight. So this will give you a rough estimate of your lean body mass, the mass we want to hold on to whilst losing this fat. So I'll use myself as an example again. 92 minus 25.75 equals 66.25 kilos. And that was my estimated lean body mass. Now look at the chart again and decide where you want to end up. For most guys, 15% is a healthy range and it's very maintainable. At 10 to 12%, you'll be leaner than 90% of guys. And if you go below 10%, that is not maintainable for the large majority of guys. Unless you're prepping for a photo shoot or you're preparing for a bodybuilding show, it's probably not worth trying to get that lean. So set this goal so it's kind of stretched and it scares you a little bit, but not to the point where it's unrealistic and unsustainable. How happy you are with your results will depend on how well you do in comparison to the goal you set. So this is really important. Next, take the number 100 and take away your desired body fat percentage from 100. So for me, I wanted to be at 10% body fat. So that's 100 minus 10% equals 90% or 0.9. And now divide your lean body mass by that number. So for me, my lean body mass was 66.25 divided by 0.9 equals 73.6 kilos, which is around where I'm at right now at 10% body fat. I know that was a lot of mass, but let's just do a quick recap. I started my cut at 92 kilos at around 28% body fat estimated. I ended my cut at 73 kilos at around 10% body fat. So I lost 19 kilos. So I knew I had to lose around 19 kilos. Now, in regards to setting a deadline, I knew I was preparing for a bodybuilding show. I also had a holiday on the horizon too, so I knew I had to be fast in order to achieve this goal, and I had a specific date to aim for. I've also been dieting and learning about fat loss for years, and I'm very experienced with doing the cardio and tracking my macros. But remember, the slower the change, the more sustainable the change will be. So I wouldn't recommend losing above 1% of your overall body weight per week. The more you try and rush it, the higher the chance of failure and you quitting will be. Maybe you're 100 kilos right now and you want to get down to 80 kilos. Let's use losing 0.75 kilos per week as an example, because that's a pretty solid rate. To work out your deadline, use this quick formula. So it's the fat to lose, so in this example 20 kilos, divided by the weekly fat loss target rate. So 20 kilos divided by 0.75 kilos equals 26.6 weeks. So that's just over 6 months. So if you can lose 20 kilos in 6 months, that is a very good rate of fat loss. If you want to go a step further and hold yourself more accountable, you can book in something like a photo shoot. This is what one of my clients, Reese, is doing. Or you can book a holiday, and having that date set in place will be a huge driving factor, a motivating force that will hold you to a higher standard. A quick action step: drop your weight, your goal weight, and your goal deadline in the comments below. And then in the future, you can look back and see if you actually followed through on that goal. Step 2, track your progress. It's mind-blowing how many people skip this step, but this is one of the most important steps. To track your progress, we want to get your first check-in. So this is your progress photos as well as your first weigh-in. For your progress photos, you want to take one from the front, one from the side, and one from the back with a clear background and good lighting. And this will allow you to see the changes in your physique accurately throughout the ongoing weeks. And make sure you can do this in a location that you can repeat over time. If you want to go one step further, take progress videos as well. A photo only shows one frame, but a video is like 1,000 photos. So this is one thing I did, and this kept me really motivated. When I look back and see those videos, I could truly see how much progress I was making. As well as those two things, you want to step on the scale and get your starting scale weight. Don't attach emotionally to the scale. It's only data. Just as a scientist would look at data and analyze the data to make his next decisions, we want to do exactly the same thing with your weight. And you want to consistently log your weight into an app like Happy Scale or Google Spreadsheets, and this will allow you to see the changes in your weight over time. Step 3, build the blueprint. The next step is to create a plan for your outputs. So your outputs are your training, your steps, your cardio, your sleep, your diet, and the most important output that we're going to track is your nutrition. To find your starting calories, use this formula. So times your weight in kilos by the number 30, and that's the amount of calories you want to start on. So for me, I was 92 kilos. I times that by 30 is 2,760 calories, and that was my starting point. You also want to keep the amount of protein you're eating very high. So to find the amount of grams of protein you need to be eating every day, use this formula as well. So times your body weight in kilos by 2. So for me, it was 92 times 2 is 184 grams of protein. And I went even higher than this. And there's a few reasons why eating a lot of protein is really good and effective for fat loss. The first one is preserving and building muscle. So the more muscle you have on your frame, the more calories you'll burn even at rest. And if you try and diet and you're not training in the gym and you're not eating protein, you'll lose muscle and your metabolism will go down. So it's good for that reason. As well as that, satiety. This is probably the biggest reason why protein is great for fat loss. The more protein you eat, the more satiated and full you'll feel throughout the day. And that will be huge in stopping you from eating over that calorie amount. The last reason why protein is so good for fat loss is the thermic effect of food. So the thermic effect of food is the amount of calories your body burns by digesting food. So with something like carbs or fats, the other two macronutrients, it's very low. For fat, it's 0 to 3%. For carbs, it's 5 to 10%. But for protein, it's 20 to 30%. So 20 to 30 of 100 calories worth of protein will be burned just from digesting that protein. You also want to be eating a good amount of healthy fats, so things like nuts, avocados, and eggs. And this will help you optimize your hormones, so the amount of testosterone you're producing. Fats are very calorie dense, so use an app like MyFitnessPal to track your calories and weigh out your food, but don't obsess about the ratio of carbs and fats. Just keep your protein at that number every single day and let the rest take care of itself. In terms of what to eat, I would try and keep your diet as simple as possible. So the smallest amount of ingredients as possible. If you start overcomplicating things with all these fancy recipes, when you're tired and hungry and you've just got home from work and you've got to make this 20 ingredient recipe, you're probably not going to do it, and you're probably going to go on Uber Eats and order some unhealthy, high calorie food. So make your diet simple, do a weekly shop, and just stick to the same foods every single week. I will be making full guides on what to eat in the future, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. The next output we want to track is your step count. This is one of the prime ways we're going to create that calorie deficit and help you lose that fat. 10,000 steps is a great number to aim for because 10,000 steps burns 500 calories for the average man. And if you times that by 7 days in a week, that's 3,500 calories. So that equates to a pound of fat. A pound of fat you're going to be burning across the week just from walking every single day. It's low impact, so it won't make you fatigued, and it will also improve your mental health as well. The next output we want to track is your training. In terms of what training to do, you want to be doing bodybuilding style training. So this is going to the gym and lifting weights. In terms of frequency, if you've already been going to the gym and you've got a plan, just stick to that. But if you're a beginner, start on 2 or 3 days a week. And in each session, you want to be training your full body. So you're training each body part multiple times each week. And this is optimal for muscle growth. You want to be really focusing on learning techniques. So watch YouTube videos on technique, learn the form of each exercise, take your time, don't rush through the sets, don't use a weight that you can't handle, and focus on progressively overloading the weight, the reps over time. And you only really need 2 sets on each exercise. I've done this for the last year and it's given me great results. You don't need to do a ton of volume. You also want to be making sure you're progressively overloading your reps and your weight over time. And the way to do this is by tracking each of your sessions. So use an app like Strong or Google Sheets and log the amount of sets, reps, and weight you're doing on each exercise each time you go to the gym. Every time you go to the gym, the goal is to improve on those numbers. The next output we want to track is your cardio. This is another huge weapon in creating that calorie deficit and helping you lose fat. You want to avoid doing HIIT sessions, so this is high intensity interval training. This will make you fatigued and take away from your weight training sessions. Instead of that, do LIST training. So this is low intensity steady state cardio. So this is something you can do for a long duration at a constant pace. Some examples are the cross trainer, the incline treadmill, that's my favorite, or the Stairmaster. To make this more enjoyable, put your earphones in, listen to some music, listen to a podcast, watch Netflix, do some work on your phone. Time will pass a lot faster if you do this. You can also add in extra optional cardio. So for me, I did boxing just because I find it really enjoyable. It doesn't feel like cardio when I'm actually doing it. I'm just in a flow state. And I'm also learning a skill alongside doing cardio. When I'm boxing, I don't think about the time that it's taking me. I'm just focused on learning and developing my skills in boxing. So for you, this might be something different. Maybe you like playing tennis, paddle, golf. It could be anything, but just anything that gets you outside and moving. The fifth and last output you want to track is your sleep. This is the most underrated thing and overlooked thing when it comes to losing fat. If you get poor sleep, it will increase ghrelin. So ghrelin is a hunger hormone that makes you feel hungry, and it decreases leptin. So that's a hormone that makes you feel full and satiated. So you have more of a chance of cheating on your diet. If you get poor sleep, it will also decrease your NEAT. So that's non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So that's when you're fidgeting or just moving around, you're gonna have a lot lower energy and you're not going to burn as many calories throughout the day. The later you get into a diet phase, the more fatigued and tired you'll feel. So make sleep a priority. Do not overlook it. Get 7 to 9 hours every single night. Set an alarm 1 hour before you go to bed to turn your phone off, and set a consistent wake up time you can realistically stick to every single day. If you dial in your sleep, this will make one of the biggest differences in your fat loss transformation. Step 4, course correction. So once you've actually started implementing these plans and you're in the middle of your transformation, you want to look at the data and adjust your outputs depending on the data. Your outputs are the results of what you're doing. So this is your scale weight and those progress photos, which I mentioned earlier. You want to be weighing yourself every single day. The reason why you want to do it daily and not weekly is there's so many fluctuations that happen when you're trying to lose fat in your weight day to day. Things like how many carbs you ate the night before. Carbs hold on to more water, same with salt, or maybe you're experiencing some inflammation and your weight might be a bit higher the next day. So track your weight every single day and get your weekly average. The way to find out your weekly average is dividing all the days together, so the sum of the 7 days divided by 7. Fat loss is not linear. It's almost like the stock market. It goes up and down, but you need to watch the trend line, and that will give you a true indication of if you're on the right path or not. If your weekly averages are not changing, you know you need to make some changes. Same with your progress photos. If you don't see visible differences week to week, you need to make sure you're adjusting those outputs. On the days where you do your weekly check-ins, this is the time to adjust those outputs. So apart from improving your sleep, you have 2 different options. One is to increase your activity levels, so your steps or your cardio. This is what I would suggest initially, because I'd much rather dedicate more time to putting more steps in or increasing my cardio and getting fitter cardiovascularly than decreasing my food. But eventually you're going to have to do both of these things anyway. You want to reach a point with your output where you push it as high as you can to a sustainable point. And if you are losing fat faster than planned, then just keep everything the same until that rate of loss slows down. Step 5, conquering hunger. The biggest reason why diets fail is because of hunger. The deeper you get into a fat loss phase, the higher the amount of ghrelin your body will produce, so that's that hunger hormone, and the lower the leptin it will produce, the satiety hormone. Now, I've actually created a full guide on YouTube on the 11 steps you need to take if you want to reduce your hunger whilst dieting, so I definitely recommend checking that out after this video. But the main things you want to focus on are sleep, like I said, hydration is another big one, and your diet. So keeping a high fiber and protein diet, as well as eating a lot of low calorie density foods. Protein rich and fiber packed foods and low calorie dense foods will help keep you full and satiated. They'll stretch out your stomach, send signals to the brain that you're not hungry. And if you can understand this concept of calorie density, you'll be ahead of almost every other guy that tries to lose weight and fails. You want to make sure every meal you're eating is as filling as possible with the least amount of calories possible. And this will make it seem like you're not even dieting. For 90% of my diet, because I was following this rule, I did not feel hungry. It was only towards the last 10% of my diet I started feeling hungry all the time because I was at a very lean body fat percentage. In terms of meal timing, you have 5 opportunities to absorb protein throughout the day. So I would recommend spreading your meals and snacks out throughout the day and make sure they're full of protein. And I don't typically get hungry in the morning, so I would push off my first meal by a few hours, and this would allow me to have more calories later on. I'd also save 40 to 50% of my calories for the evening. The evenings are where people typically binge eat and cheat on their diet, so save the bulk of your calories for the time where you're mostly likely to mess up. Another tool you can use to combat hunger later down the line when you're getting really hungry is implementing refeeds. So maybe you have a few days where you're really fatigued, you're really tired, you're really hungry, and you feel like you're gonna break. That is the perfect time to implement a refeed. So bump your calories up by 500 for just like a few days, and you'll instantly notice the difference in your energy levels. Fat loss will stall for those couple of days. You'll stay around the same weight, but it will just give you a nice mental and physical break. Step 6, build an iron mind. Mindset is the most important thing when it comes to achieving any goal. And here are 6 mindsets that I want you to implement if you're serious about losing this fat. The first one is anti-perfectionism. A huge reason why people consistently start on Monday and they fail on Thursday is they set these huge expectations. They put their calories way too low. They want to be 100% perfect. They want to go to the gym every single day. And the moment they have one bite of that food they're not meant to have, or they miss one gym session, they decide to throw in the towel, eat everything in sight, and start next Monday. So what you want to do instead is aim to get everything done on your plan, but only expect yourself to be 80 to 90% consistent. That way, when you do have that bite of something you're not meant to eat, you don't see it as the be all and end all, and you just continue on as you were doing before. Remember, progress over perfection. 80 to 90% consistency over months will always beat 100% perfectionism over days. The second mindset you must implement is creating an alter ego. So the reason why you are where you are is because you see yourself as that fat and lazy person. That fat and lazy person can't achieve the results, otherwise you would have already achieved them. So you need to create this new identity, this alter ego. Write down, what type of person is that person? What character traits does he have? How does he handle adversity? How does he push through challenges and come back from setbacks? What mindsets does he have? Write this all down in detail so you can get really clear about the person you want to become. The third mindset I want you to adopt is embracing hunger. Hunger is a survival mechanism in your brain to keep you alive. So when you go in a calorie deficit, even though you might implement all these tools I mentioned earlier, eventually you will get hungry. So instead of seeing it as a bad thing, see it as a sign that you're in a calorie deficit and you're losing fat, and just learn to embrace hunger, because at some point it's going to hit you. The fourth mindset I want you to adopt is taking 100% responsibility. Do not blame anyone or anything else. You are where you are because of you. It's not your partner's fault. It's not your kid's fault. It's not your job's fault. It's all your fault. Wherever you point the finger, power goes. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather have all the power to make the changes needed to achieve what I want to achieve. And if you keep pointing the finger outside to anything but yourself, you're giving the power away to that person or that thing. The fifth mindset is having a strong why. There's a quote that was mentioned in my favorite book, Man's Search for Meaning. I would recommend any man to read that book, especially if you're watching this video. And the author quoted Friedrich Nietzsche, and the quote was, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." And this is very true. When you have a strong reason why you're trying to lose this fat and get into the best shape of your life, the how will become a lot easier. What are all the things that you're being restricted currently from doing or being because you're overweight? Go into detail, write it down. What would actually change if you lost this weight? What would be better? How would you change as an entrepreneur, an employee, a partner, a father, a friend? Write this all down in detail. This is really important. It's a thing that a lot of people overlook, but this will be the thing that levels up your mindset to the point where you can follow through with the plans that I've just given you here. The sixth and the most powerful thing you can do is hiring a coach. I'm a coach myself and I've helped a lot of people lose fat, but I hired a coach because I know that accountability is key. It will allow you to defer all the planning and course correction, which I mentioned earlier, to someone else, so you won't be stressed out about that. Also, in times where you do go over your calories or you have a bad day, you can let your coach know and he will give you mindsets and tips to get over that. And that's exactly what I do inside my program. I've been where you've been before and I've helped a lot of guys lose weight and change their lives. There'll be a lot of unexpected things and life will pop up as it always does. My job as your coach is to keep you accountable and help you navigate around those things and remind you of the goals that you do have. I've studied fat loss and mindset for years, and that's why my one-to-one service is the best thing you can invest in right now. If you're serious and you want to take action, click the top link in the description. That was the video, guys. Well done if you did make it this far. If you did make it this far, you have an attention span bigger than 99% of our current population. If you're overweight and you do take action on this, your life will change forever. I can promise you that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share the video to someone you think might need it. And I'll see you in the next video.